right, so first let's check the App Store just to make sure Numbers is updated. So I'm just going to start by searching it. And as you can see on mine, it just says open, so that means mine's updated. But if yours looks something like this one down here, it says update, go ahead and click on that to update it. That way you'll have the latest version. So 2 fingers in the middle of the screen, if you pull down, and we can search for Numbers. It's just a quick tool to use in case you haven't used it lately. And it opens up to recents usually, because by default. I want to go into iCloud Drive though and create from there. Once I'm inside from the templates, I'm going to choose this blank white one. And we can go ahead and rename it just by clicking on it or tapping. We're going to call it Find the Ship. Don't need this many columns, so I'm going to click and drag on that slider. Same thing with the rows at the bottom. We're going to have 10 rows. And I don't need this far left one, so I'm going to click on the A to highlight the whole thing and delete it. I can also rename my table. We're going to plot the points there because that's where our X and Y axis will go. So we'll type X here and Y to the right. And I don't know about you, but I like to have my data centered. So in order to do that, we're going to highlight that whole row, row 1. And we're dealing with cells, so we're going to hit the paintbrush. And it opened up on cell already right here. And we're going to center that text. And we could have done all of the rows, like if you wanted to go back and do that just to see it again. Click and highlight the area, paintbrush, cells, and center. Now, to highlight the whole graph or the whole chart, click on that 0 there in the corner, the O, and we're going to go to the plus sign and we're going to add a scatter plot. It is 2D. It's actually at the bottom here. You got several pages, but this is the orange section. So I'm just going to choose the orange one. And you can tell my data is linked because it has changed the color there in those cells. And with this highlighted here in blue with the blue dots, I'm going to go to the paintbrush and I'm going to actually go into chart over here at the left. And this is where I get to pick a different color if I want to. I'm going to go with this maroon looking one. So under style, general, I can go into the data symbol there at the top and I can change that from circles because if we're sinking ships, we want it to look like they've been blasted. So an X would be better. All right, so still under style, not general, but style grid lines. We want major grid lines to appear. We have our x-axis, our axis line there, but we're going to hit major grid lines. Notice they just appeared in the middle. And for the y value, it's already toggled over. Now let's go into data. And we want to set up our scale for the x-axis. So we'll click on that linear word there. And we're going to fill in for our maximum is 10, minimum is -10 with 10 steps. And you'll be able to watch that change right in front of your eyes as I click the data there. And we want to do the same thing that we did on our x-axis with our y. 10, -10, and 10 steps. Perfect. We're going to get to that arrange in a little bit later, so just a reminder there. Now, inside my chart, if I scroll down, I can have a reference line in the center of my graph to kind of have that focal point for the eyes. So we're going to customize that. We want it at 0, and if you notice, it already popped in just by opening up that window or that dialog there. So we want to do the same thing for the Y. Scroll down for a Y. And we're just going to custom, and as soon as we do that, boom, it appears at 0. So now we have a better visual once we're inside, and we can count our lines as we're plotting our points. So now what we need to do is we need to pick out our ships for our game. Going into the shapes, we're just going to search, and we've got some to choose from. I'm going to pick this first one. And since I've already searched, I might as well go ahead and get another one while I'm at it. And clicking on my first ship here, let's color it with our paintbrush style. It's filled with black, as you can see. But we're going to skip preset and color. I want to go to gradient. That's like my favorite. Boom. Light blue, dark blue. And I can change that. The top light blue, if I click on it, I can change it to any color I want, like this purple. And then go back out and do the bottom color. Maybe a pink. And I can flip those colors, as you see. And I can even change the angle that the colors are appearing or coming in. It's kind of like a swirl if you move it back and forth. It's kind of cool. Easy enough. Now we can do the second one. See if you can remember the steps. Highlight it. Once you get used to it, like this paintbrush tool is the same in all Apple apps, like Pages and Numbers and Keynote. So I love that. You get used to it, you can use it anywhere. Okay, so if I take this first ship, I want to be able to attack the ship, but it's on top of my grid lines. So in other words, my plot points aren't going to be visible. So let me go ahead and get the size that I want before I put it underneath my grid there. Going to my paintbrush, and here's where we come back to that Arrange tab. And there's a slider here, Move Back to Front. And you kind of have to do some guesswork. I'm going to the right first, nothing's happening, so let me slowly go back. Boom, there it is. Second notch in, I have grid lines on top of my ship now. Let's do the same thing for our other one. Always adjust the size first. And with it highlighted, the paintbrush will allow you to arrange it. Now you can't see it here because you're covering it up, but I kind of remember where we were, so. Now let's plot some points. So if we have a 6 for an X and a 4 for Y, boom, then we just shot our ship. And if we want to put in a couple more, you can see where those where we've been hit, it's visible. We'll do one more for this bottom one here. Right there in the middle. And notice I even accidentally skipped a couple lines, but it's okay, it doesn't matter. So your students will love creating this find the ship game or sinking your battleship. But if you want to also add some finishing touches, like maybe you want to give some directions, you can go back into shapes. And I'll just pull this rectangle here to show you you can get this set up for students however you want. We can type in directions, even insert an audio recording of those directions in case there's any question. Always give access to your microphone. Insert it. And there it is. So students can play the audio of the directions and read them. So you can change the size of that and you're ready to go. They're ready to play the game. Not only create the game, but play the game.